Okay, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Simon Birkenhead. I'm the Global Sales Director at Telefonica, running our mobile advertising business. I'm going to talk about the future of mobile. Now, the first thing I have to say is actually a big apology, because I'm very, very sorry that the fact that you've come here today to hear about the future of mobile, because actually you're in the wrong place. Where you really need to be is Barcelona, because this week is Mobile World Congress. It's the big exhibition. It's all about mobile. It's all about mobile technologies. It's all about the future of mobile. So that's where you want to be if you want to learn about technology. So what I'm going to talk to you about is something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about not just how mobile technology is evolving, but actually why is that relevant to you as marketers, as business managers, as entrepreneurs. You know, what is it about mobile that's creating a marketing opportunity or an advertising opportunity that you need to be thinking of in your jobs and your businesses? So first of all, for those of you who perhaps are not familiar with Telefonica, we are the world's fourth largest telecoms operator after China Mobile, Vodafone, and American Mobile. In the UK and a lot of Europe, you'll know us as O2. In Latin America, we operate under the Vivo brand in Brazil and the Movistar brand in a whole bunch of other countries in Latin America. And Telefonica, being a Spanish country, the heartland of our business is Latin America, where we have a business in pretty much all of the countries across that region. Now, I'm actually part of a business group called Telefonica Digital. A challenge that telcos and operators have is growth. And the recent acquisition, for example, of WhatsApp by Facebook reinforces the challenge that operators have, because in the future we're not going to be able to charge for services like SMS. So we're having to reinvent our businesses. And Telefonica is doing that within this group called Telefonica Digital, which is a home for a bunch of new digitally-led, technology-led businesses that have grown out of our operator business, but are perhaps a bit tangential to our core business. So the mobile advertising business is the business that I run. We also have other businesses in areas like machine to machine. And later on I'll be talking about initiatives such as smart cities, connected cars, smart homes. That's all about machine to machine. The previous speaker from Expedia was talking about big data. We have our own big data team business. Telefonica, and as with all operators, has a lot of data. So we're looking at how can we turn that data into valuable insights for businesses and for marketers and for retailers. We also own a number of smaller companies. So in the UK, we are part of the Weave joint venture, which was a business that was set up just over a year ago as a joint venture between Telefonica, Vodafone, and EE to run mobile advertising, to offer mobile advertising and mobile commerce to UK businesses. And the reason we created Weave was to create the scale that is needed in mobile. Each operator only has maybe 20% market share. So if you're an advertiser and you want to run a mobile campaign in the UK through the operators, previously you would have to work with 4 different operators. By bringing them together into Weave, you've now got a single point of contact to be able to run marketing campaigns at scale in the UK. And Weave has a market share of about 80% of the UK mobile owning population. In Latin America, we also own Terra, which is Latin America's largest content portal, a bit like a Yahoo or an AOL. And we're also part of Firefox OS, which is the new low-cost smartphone operating system that is being talked about a lot today at Mobile World Congress. So that's Telefonica Digital. But what we're talking about is the future of mobile. Now, there's a lot of people in the audience who will have no clue who this guy is or what this TV show was. But there's a few people who are old enough, as old as me at least, to remember this show. And this was a great show from the 1970s and 1980s. Tomorrow's World. They showcased the innovations of the future. And this was the future of mobile back in the late 70s. They kind of got the concept right. It's a phone with an aerial. But of course, this was before the great designers at Apple and Steve Jobs came along and redesigned it. But actually predicting the future, particularly for technology, is really difficult. This guy did a pretty good job. This guy's called Asimov. He was a writer, a scientist. He studied biochemistry at Boston University, but he was a prolific writer. He wrote like 500 books and like 90,000 letters. And along with Arthur C. Clarke, he was considered one of the best science fiction writers of his generation. And he came up with quite a few pretty good predictions, I think. He said communications will become visual, predicting kind of video conferencing. Satellites will make you enable you to talk to anybody around the world. Wireless, no electric cords. Google's driverless cars, he predicted. So he did a pretty good job, but it's really difficult. And I would actually say it's actually impossible to predict the future if you don't understand the present. If you don't understand the reality of what happens in the world today, how people behave, how people use technology, how businesses are run, then you won't be able to predict how things will happen in the future, because people's behavior doesn't change that quickly or that radically. So what I thought I'd talk to you today or share today are my 4 predictions for the near future of mobile, but base it all in today's reality. So all of these predictions are things that are happening right now that if you're a business manager or a marketing person or working in an agency, these are things you should really be thinking about now and learning about now. Some of them are a bit futuristic. They're things that are going to really take off in the future, but they're absolutely based in today's reality. So my first prediction: all media will become digital, and all digital will become mobile. Now, actually, I have to admit, this is not my prediction. This was actually a quote from a nice chap called Anthony Young, who was the head of, first of all, Zenith Optimedia and then Mindshare, 2 very, very big global media agencies. So here you've got a guy who runs media agencies, and most of what they sell is TV and print and traditional media. He's actually saying, my business is going to become mobile in the future. Now, if he says that, that's something that you want to sit up and listen to. Now, one of the reasons why I think he said that and why I agree with him is the influence of the smartphone, particularly on the younger generation. 18% of 18 to 34-year-olds use their mobile device as their only form of accessing the internet. 18% of young people, compared to only 5% of people in their 30s and 40s, and even less as you get older than that. Those young people spend a huge amount of time on their phone. So 10% of all kind of post-teenagers, early 20 people, spend up to 10 hours per day on a mobile device, either their smartphone or their tablet. And that means they're consuming all of their content that they want to consume on a mobile device. They're doing these things: meshing. Meshing is when you use multiple devices to consume the same kind of content. So the Super Bowl, for example, which was a couple of weeks ago, great example of meshing. People would be watching the game, and they'd be tweeting or exchanging comments on social media about the game, or actually in reality more about the adverts during the games. But that's meshing. Stacking is when you kind of multitask using multiple devices for different purposes. Without wanting to be too stereotypical, example being football game is on, the boyfriend is watching football and the girlfriend's sitting next to him, but the girlfriend's not really interested in football, so she's on her tablet looking at something else. That's kind of stacking. Now, the implications for marketers from both of those is to think about real-time marketing. A lot of brands put a big focus on the Super Bowl and had teams in place in their offices during the game in order to do real-time marketing and react really quickly to comments that were being made on social media. That's really going to change the way that marketers and agencies work. A lot of brands are now bringing their real-time marketing teams in-house rather than rely on their marketing agency, because marketing agencies can't move fast enough to do real-time marketing. First of all, they don't have people that work outside of normal office hours. And secondly, they don't have the permission, the authorization to start doing marketing because they need to get the brand manager's approval. So much better to actually bring those teams in-house and run that in-house. So that's going to change the agency model about how agencies work and the value that they bring. Shifting is time shifting. We all do this. It started off with Sky Plus and TiVo, and now the likes of YouTube, YouView. It's all about shifting when you consume content and viewing content when you want it, on the device that you want, at the time you want, rather than when the broadcaster decides that you should be watching this content. So that has massive implications for TV advertising, because people are not going to be watching linear TV where you have an ad break every 15 minutes. They're going to be consuming content whenever, wherever they want. And you have to think about how we were going to engage with them as marketers. Now, that's all very well for the UK or for North America, where smartphone penetration is pretty high. But what about the rest of the world? So Latin America and Africa, smartphone penetration is still less than 15%. In Africa, it's less than 10%. So in a world where people still use their old Nokia feature phones, what is the future of mobile advertising in that world? What I would say is, when you think about mobile marketing, a feature phone is a phone. People still have that with them 24 hours a day. They still use it as a phone. It's still a form of communication. You just need to think differently about how you use that phone. In UK and North America and Europe, we're obsessed by apps, for example, and display ads for mobile marketing. Latin America, SMS is a brilliant ad format. 80% of Brazilians are very happy to receive offers and promotions on their phone using SMS. And SMS works brilliantly on a feature phone. You can reach 100% of phones with that format. Africa, you would traditionally think, they're way behind in mobile evolution. Africa are ahead of the world in mobile banking. In Kenya, 93% of people who have a mobile phone use it for mobile banking. In Europe, it's about 30%. So regions like Latin America and Africa, don't dismiss them just because they're feature phone dominant markets. There is a lot that can be done in the mobile marketing space. The other thing to consider is that smartphone penetration will change dramatically in these regions over the next couple of years. So in Mobile World Congress this week, we've heard a lot about low-cost feature phones, low-cost smartphones. Yesterday, it was announced a $25 smartphone running Firefox OS. £15 for a smartphone through which you can access the internet. So what's going to happen, regions like Latin America, is people are going to experience the internet on their mobile device as the first time they've experienced the internet. They'll completely bypass the desktop computer. They'll completely bypass broadband. They'll just go straight from no internet to mobile internet. And that has massive implications for marketers and for businesses. Because today, we all build websites for a desktop screen. In Latin America, you've got to be building a website for a mobile screen, because that's how the majority of your customers are going to be experiencing your brand in 2 years' time. So we spoke about content, Netflix, YouTube, it's all going mobile. This is how we're going to be consuming content in the future. This has got massive implications for how people run their business. So this is an analysis by Adobe for the US market. It's only for the US. But the US is the most advanced mobile marketing market. And yet, even in the US, over half of businesses do not have a mobile optimized website. And by the way, if you have an app and you think because you've got an app, you've got a mobile site, forget that. Because an app is great, but you're still going to have a bunch of people who are searching for your business on Google and are going to land on your website. So you've got to have a mobile optimized website as well as an app. Half of all businesses don't have a mobile site. So in a world where everybody's on a mobile device and consuming content on a mobile device, they're going to land on your website and get a really sucky experience. So if that's any of you people in this room, that should be one of your highest priorities. So that was the first prediction. Everything becomes mobile. Second prediction, mobile becomes mobility. Now, what I mean by this is today we think of the mobile as a device, as a screen. You know, when we think of mobile marketing, we think of how can I use this device to engage with consumers or to deliver my message or my promotion. The idea of mobility is recognizing that this is just a screen. This is no different to a TV or a poster site. It's just a way of displaying a message. It's actually the consumer. It's me. It's all of you guys. You're the people who are mobile. You're the people who can be anywhere at any time. And as soon as you start to think of the consumer as the mobile, then you start to think differently about how you might run your marketing campaigns. Today, generally, when we do mobile marketing, we focus on the phone, the operating system, which app we're going to advertise in. If you take a mobility approach and think of the consumer as the mobile device, you start thinking about who is this person? What are they interested in? Where are they right now? You're all here. You're all in Earl's Court. That's very contextually relevant for businesses that are in this area, for example, for lunch. How great would it be if you got a message right now at 1:45 from a little restaurant round the corner saying, don't go to these sucky little sandwich shops in Earl's Court, go 2 minutes round the corner and get a really nice beef burger. That's contextual targeting that is about you and where you are right now and the fact that you're going to be hungry because it's nearly 1 o'clock. Now, the challenge with mobile is that this takes some very personal data about you as individuals. And in mobile, that's very difficult data to find because there are no cookies. On desktop advertising, websites drop cookies onto your computer, like little data files that tell advertisers a bit about you, what websites you browse, what kind of things you do on your computer, and lots of data companies have been built up to analyze these cookies and try and determine what are your interests based on your historical browsing behavior. Now, on mobile, you can't do that because on mobile devices, there are no cookies. So we can't use that kind of data to build up a profile of your interests. So the question is, where can we get this data? Because we need to make our advertising relevant to the person, but we need this kind of data to do that. And that's where companies like Telefonica have a fantastic opportunity, because Telefonica does have all this information. When you sign a contract with O2 or Movistar, you let us know what your date of birth is. We know whether you're male or female. We know your postcode. And with your permission, and I emphasize with your permission, we can use that information to allow advertisers to engage you with promotions or offers that are relevant to your interest. It's a value exchange. You agree to let us use your personal data, and in return, we'll give you some promotions or special offers or deals that might be interesting for you. At the same time, we know where you are because your phone is always constantly talking to our cell towers. If you're on O2 or Vodafone, they'll know that you're here because they'll triangulate the cell tower information. So we know where you are at any point in time. So we can do real-time marketing and engage with you based on where you are at any particular time. So here's just a campaign that we've run for Heineken. I've got a few examples as we go through these. This was a campaign for Heineken based on finding football fans. They wanted to reach people who were watching the Champions League, but not in the stadium. They wanted to find people who were watching the game at home because they'd be more likely to actually do the meshing and actually use the Heineken app whilst the game is running. So we found people that we thought were interested in sports. We picked guys because stereotypically they're probably most interested in football. And we also time targeted so that they got this message on their phone during the game, and we knew that they were likely to be watching the football match, and we had a fantastic response rate as a consequence. Now, the other thing to think about with mobility and the mobile consumer is how that impacts your traditional marketing. How do you mobilize all of your marketing, not just your mobile marketing? So this was I actually saw this. This is a poster on Piccadilly Circus, one of the underground platforms in Piccadilly Circus. So it's like one of these giant 32 sheets. For Hive, which is a new service from, I think it's British Gas. And it's an app. It allows you to control your central heating remotely through an app on your smartphone. So it's a very traditional piece of media in a very traditional spot on an underground platform. So I saw this, I thought, that's quite interesting. I love all this smart home technology. So the first thing I did was pull out my phone, connect it to the London Underground Wi-Fi, and go to hivehome.com. This is what I got. So here we have a company that is selling a mobile app, and they're driving you to that website. They've not thought about mobile at all. They've really not understood that people will use their mobile to respond to traditional marketing, not just mobile marketing. We've all done this. We've been in front of the TV and we've used our mobile to research a product we've seen on a TV ad. Here I've used my mobile to research a product that I've seen in a poster. I'm still using my mobile device, and you need to, as marketers and business managers, you need to give them a good experience, regardless of whether you actually run mobile advertising. The Mobile Marketing Association has done quite a bit of research into how traditional media and mobile media work together. They've run a number of studies where they've taken a chunk of budget assigned to like TV and out of home and shifted a little bit of that budget into mobile. And because of this amplification effect of mobile, because mobile is used as the response mechanism, they've proven in every single case that by shifting a little bit of budget to mobile, you increase the effectiveness of that campaign. You amplify the effect of traditional media. And keeping the budget exactly the same. So it's just using the budget in a more effective way. So along those lines, here's another case study. This is actually from Weave, our joint venture in the UK. It's a campaign that we ran with Mediacom for Lucozade. They were launching this brand called Revive, and they ran a campaign across out of home and mobile. And they did a proper econometric study to look at the impact and the effectiveness of the different media. And they found, as you can see there, they found that, first of all, messaging worked really, really well. So SMS marketing worked really, really well. It also worked better than other media in actually driving interest, and I'll come on to why that is in a minute. But they also found that when you run out of home and mobile together, you get an 8% boost in the effectiveness of that campaign. And as a consequence, they recommended that about 10 to 15% of their budget should be shifted into mobile to take advantage of this amplification effect. Just please don't do this. When you think about mobilizing your outdoor marketing, please don't do this. And if you do see this, please don't try and scan that code when you're driving along a freeway, which was what was beside this big poster. Okay, so that was second prediction, which was about mobility and the mobile consumer rather than the mobile device. My third prediction is this, that proximity will become the buzzword, that everything around mobile marketing will become about proximity and location, and I've already started talking about that. The challenge that a lot of advertising companies and agencies have with mobile is it's really hard to work out the ROI. In desktop advertising, you can track a consumer journey right through from an ad through to a website experience through to a sale, because people do buy on a computer. People generally don't buy things on a mobile device, generally. This study from Google and eMarketer, about 3/4 of people who research a product on a mobile device end up actually buying it in person in a shop. Now, it's very difficult to measure the return on investment of that marketing ad if people then go into a store to buy the product. And consequently, a lot of brands and marketers run mobile campaigns and say, well, that didn't work. The ROI was crappy. And it's because they're not measuring the right stuff. Now, I don't have a magic solution for this, I'm afraid. There's no easy answer to this. But what I would say is, the closer that you get to the purchase decision, the easier it gets to measure it, which is why proximity is so important with mobile. This was another campaign that we ran for Ben & Jerry's in Germany. what they were doing is they were launching this new flavor. And they had a van that was touring around Germany and giving out lots of free samples. So they wanted to drive people to the van and make people aware that this van was in their area so they could go and get a free sample and try the product and hopefully buy some ice cream. So again, we sent an SMS that was location targeted to both the area where the van was and also real time to people who we knew were in that area at that point in time. And through that combination of a standout message like SMS and the real-time location targeting so that we knew people were close to that decision point of being able to go to the other street to see the van, we got some fantastic results. And Ben & Jerry's were very, very happy as a consequence. Another example, this is in Ireland. It was a combined promotion with Avonmore, which is a milk product, and Spar, which operate the convenience stores inside Dublin Airport. They wanted to promote this brand of milk, and they had a promotion that said they were giving away free milk to people that landed in Dublin Airport for them to take home, so they can have their cereal or their coffee. And again, we used real-time location to trigger a message when people landed in Dublin Airport and reach them before they'd passed the Spar shop, so that they knew to go into Spar shop, collect their free sample on their way out. A great result. 2% sounds a little bit low, but it's 2% of everybody that landed in Dublin Airport. That's actually quite a big volume of people. So I've spoken about the value of push messaging, an SMS and MMS. SMS has got a bit of a bad reputation in the past from being a bit of a spammy format for marketing. And it's true, in the olden days when there was no targeting, it was a bit spammy because the messages would not be relevant to you. And anybody that's got one of these you've won the lottery type messages through know that it can be used in a spammy way. But if you overlay it with targeting data, so targeting data to the consumer and also real-time location targeting, it worked brilliantly because SMS stands out. It gets cut through. And importantly, you read SMS messages when you receive them. 35% of people will open a notification the moment the phone beeps. So if you're doing location targeting and you've got a window of opportunity when a person is in that location, you need them to see your advert now. You can't put them on Twitter or Facebook and have them in your news feed because they might see your ad in 2 hours' time, by which time they'll have gone home and it'll be too late. So SMS is great for these kind of real-time marketing messages when you need to reach somebody right now because now is the moment when there's an opportune time to engage with them. And we get great results as a consequence. This is just a summary of about 117 separate campaigns that Telefonica has run over the last kind of year or two, measuring not just very high click-through rates, so 5.5%, just as a sense of scale, 5.5% click-through rate on the URL that we put in our SMS messages. That compares to an average click-through rate for display ads of about 0.2. So it's a factor of hundreds of times greater than other forms of mobile marketing. You'll see that we even had a campaign with 50% click-through rate, just by getting the targeting right. So finally, fourth prediction, the world around us will become mobilized. And what I mean by that is, mobile will become the way the world operates around us. Mobile World Congress this week, it's all about devices and technology. And there'll be lots of companies there saying, here's my new smartphone, here's my new gadget, here's my new TV. The reality is, they're not going to look particularly different to the gadgets that you saw last year, or even the year before that, or even the year before that. The iPhone, or the smartphone even, born in 2007, the smartphones on display in Barcelona don't look radically different to the first iPhone 5 years ago. The iPad was born in 1993. It was called the Newton, the Apple Newton, but that was Apple's first iPad. It's changed in its design a little bit. It's a bit more gadgety, but the concept hasn't really changed that much. The little blue thing in the bottom left-hand corner, that's your Nike Fuel Band. or I've got one of these, a Fitbit. That's what it looked like in the 1990s. This might be branded as the latest healthcare fitness gadget, but it's just a pedometer. That's just a pedometer. These devices have changed how they look, but they haven't really changed that much in their function. So don't be obsessed by devices. If you're a marketer, don't get obsessed by what's the latest technology, like Google Glass. Last year when Google Glass started being commercialized, everybody was talking about, what can I do on Google Glass? Hands up if anybody in this room has got Google Glass. Nobody. It's not scaled yet. Don't get obsessed by the device. Think about what people have got now and how they're going to evolve the way that they use the things they've got now, rather than getting obsessed with what the next new technology is going to be. However, saying that, what I would say is there is massive innovation around the SIM card. Not the device that you put the SIM card into, but what the SIM card itself can actually enable. By taking a SIM card out of the phone and putting it into other stuff, you can create what's being called the Internet of Things. Internet-enabled stuff all around us in everyday life. So these are just 3 initiatives that Telefonica is involved with. There's plenty of other initiatives that other companies are doing around the Internet of Things. But it's very, very interesting. And I think this will have dramatic changes to how we live our lives and how companies and marketers can engage with us. So smart homes. This is called Nest. It's beautiful. It's beautifully designed. It works amazingly well. And Google just acquired this company for $3.2 billion. They have one product. It's a thermostat. $3.2 billion for a thermostat. It's beautiful, but it's still only a thermostat. So why have Google spent that amount of money? They've recognized that the future is about smart homes. You know, a internet-enabled thermostat is just an entry point into the home of the future, where everything is connected to the internet, where you can control your whole home from your smartphone, wherever you are in the world. And Nest, you know, is a very innovative company who are really thinking ahead about how you can use a SIM card and put a SIM card into all sorts of other gadgets around the house to increase productivity and increase the way that people use these devices. Last year, Telefonica signed a deal worth 1.8 billion euros with the UK government called smart metering. We've got the contract to install a SIM card into every single gas and electricity meter in the UK over the next 5 or 6 years. Every single household will have a smart meter. And that will enable you to, or enable your energy usage to be, first of all, sent remotely to your energy supplier. So you no longer have to have people knocking on your door, coming in your house and taking a meter reading. But what it'll also do is give you the data to be able to make smarter decisions about how you use energy. And this is really why the UK government is behind this initiative. It's about how do we save energy by making people more aware of how they use energy. It's the same principle of the Fitbit and the Nike Fuel Band. Give people data about their lifestyles to enable them to make smarter decisions about their lifestyles. Connected cars. Take a SIM card, put it into your car. That car then becomes an internet device. It's got a screen in the front. Imagine the opportunity for marketers of having every single car in the world as a marketing screen. You can do real-time location based on where you are, or you can have real-time communication to the driver. It would radically change how we use our cars. You could have car insurance that you pay for based on your usage, because the SIM card knows where you are. You could have car tax that is based on which roads you drive on, all remotely managed through your SIM card. The various reports say that within about 8 years, there'll be about 700 million connected cars in the world. This is a big, big opportunity for marketers to understand what they can do there. And then smart cities. This is about putting a SIM card into everything that's in a city, from traffic lights to road sensors to air quality monitors, into buses, taxis, you name it. And this is happening in Santander in Spain. We have a pilot experiment, I guess, in Santander, where we've partnered with the Santander Council or government to put 12,000 SIM cards in various devices around the city, into all the buses, into every parking space. So in Santander, you've got an app, and you can find out exactly where the nearest parking space is in real time. They've got sensors for air quality. All the traffic lights are interconnected. So if there's a traffic jam, they can change all the sequencing of the traffic lights to help move traffic flow better through the city. This is the future of mobile. It's not necessarily marketing, but there are going to be plenty of opportunities for marketers and for new businesses to take advantage of these innovations. So those are my 4 predictions. All media will become mobile. So if you're in advertising or in marketing or working for an agency, you need to be thinking about how do you mobilize your business so that your customers can engage with you through a mobile device in a really nice, effective way. Secondly, mobility. Don't think of the mobile device. Think of the mobile consumer. You're trying to reach the mobile consumer. So who are they? Where are they? When would be the best time to contact that person? And what's the best way of engaging with somebody in real time? Proximity marketing. Again, focus on the reaching consumers when they are close to that moment of truth, when they're close to making that purchase decision, when they're in store and they've got their phone in their pocket and they're about to buy product X and you want to motivate them to buy product Y. And what formats should you be using to make your communication stand out so that they actually see your ad before they make that decision? And then finally, the Internet of Things. Everything's going to be connected to the Internet. How can you create businesses? How can you create marketing opportunities that will take advantage of that innovation and the data that all of these remote devices are going to create? Thank you very much. There's maybe 2 minutes if anybody has any questions. Yes?
You said something about...
I think there's a microphone coming this way.
Hi, my name's Shaz. You said something about, as a provider of communications, that you, without permission, you would be able to get us promotions. Is that a forced or is that a buyout? Can we buy into that or do we not buy into that?
So if you're an O2 customer in the UK or you're a Movistar customer in Latin America, we have your data. So we store your data anyway because you're using our service. What we ask is your permission to use that data to send you promotions from third parties that might be relevant to your interests. So it's like
nobody wants that.
Well, we do. We have in Brazil, we have about 90 million customers, and 50 million of those have opted into this program. Don't use your cultural assumptions of the UK to assume other people don't want these types of communications. We've done a lot of research that shows a huge difference in cultural attitudes towards mobile advertising between Europeans and Latin Americans. Europeans generally are very skeptical of mobile ads. They don't like things interrupting their world, which is exactly why you've said nobody wants to be part of those programs. Same reason you probably opt out of every junk email that you get sent. Latin America is completely different. Latin Americans, there's a huge social shift from very poor, low social classes to the middle class. And it's been generated by government policies and just general increase in affluence. But what that's created is a massive proportion of the population in places like Brazil who are now aspiring to live a middle-class lifestyle, but their income perhaps hasn't quite reached the level at which they can live that lifestyle. So they love any opportunity to be exposed to a promotion that allows them to buy a product that they aspire to buy, but at a lower price. So they love getting access to any kind of promotion, money off deal, coupons, discounts, anything like that. So, and that's why in Brazil we have about 2/3 of our whole customer base in Vivo Brazil opted into our marketing programs because people like getting these kind of offers. So don't use your cultural assumptions of being somebody in the UK to assume that nobody else, likes this type of approach. Maybe one more question?
So you say that you have the figures of how many people sign up. Do you track that to see the success? So if somebody signed up and then 3 months later they don't like the kind of things they're getting or they want it to be refined, do you change it as they go along?
So we do two things. First of all, we make it very easy for people to opt out. So you can choose if you want to opt out of our marketing program. If you hate getting all these SMS messages we're sending you, every SMS has an opt-out code at the end. So it's very easy to opt out if you don't like it. The last thing we want to do is upset our customers, because if you opt out of our marketing program, you may also opt out of O2 and go to Vodafone. So that's not in our interest to upset you. But then what we do is we use the data about how you use your phone and how you respond to our campaigns to improve our targeting. So if we know that you're a high responder to offers around music or movies, then that's information we can use to say, well, you're maybe an entertainment buff. But if you don't respond to all the sports offers, then we'll say, well, this person is not interested in sports. So we can tailor our targeting based on how you've responded to previous campaigns. Any other quick questions? One more at the very, very back there.
Hello, just about the geolocation. How detailed can you get?
So we use, the way we do geolocation is different to other companies. Facebook, Twitter, app-based companies will say that they do location targeting. And they do. And they use GPS, which is very, very accurate, but it only works when the app is open. So for something like location targeting, where somebody's in a shopping center and you want to reach them with a promotion, Facebook and Twitter are useless, because you're probably not going to be on Facebook with the app open. So Facebook won't know that you're there, and by the time they've sent you an ad, and you've seen the ad, you'll have moved on. What we do is we use cell tower information. So we triangulate the cell towers that send all of your phone communications. And the accuracy depends on the density of those cell towers. So in cities like Earl's Court or in London, we can get down to about 100 or 200 square meter range. When you're out in the countryside, it's probably maybe a square mile, just because the cell towers are a bit further apart. So we can't locate you in a specific store, but what we can determine is that you're on Oxford Street, or you're in Westfield, or you're in a particular area of town.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all very much for coming. Hope you enjoyed it.